Hello, everyone. So, happy Friday to you. This is your podcast host. This is Yedidah, and I am happy to be here today. Let me just go ahead and get started. I need to turn the notifications off on this. Okay, so happy to be here with you to talk about this very, very important topic, epilepsy. Who am I? My name is Yedidah Span. I am a caregiver. I'm a mom to a beautiful 11-year-old daughter. I am also her caregiver. What else? I love music. I sing on and off key. And I have a sense of humor and all that good stuff. But I'm also an author. I wrote a book called Don't Give Up, Acknowledging the Struggle, Celebrating Resilience, and got a couple of songs up. But anyway, that's not why I'm here. I'm not here to talk about myself. I'm here to shine the light on epilepsy and to talk about it. We need to spread awareness about epilepsy. A lot of people just don't understand what it is. And so today, I thought it would be helpful if I brought my daughter on, who was diagnosed with epilepsy in kindergarten. She wasn't born with it. And so I think it's really important for us to understand the stories of those who are actually dealing with this medical disorder. No, and I did not say mental illness. I said medical disorder. I know sometimes people say it's a mental illness, and even if it was, we still need to talk about it. And so she's here with me. And we're going to do this interview style. So she's 11. She might feel like joking around. Who knows? But I want you to hear her story. I want you to hear our story. The story of a caregiver and her daughter who was diagnosed with epilepsy. And then we can share some good news. Okay, so hi, baby.
Hi.
You ready for this?
Yeah.
Okay. So, the other day, you and I were talking about your experience with having seizures, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, I was saying to you, I thought it would be very helpful for us to share this with other people out there who may or may not have epilepsy, and maybe those who just don't understand what it is. We want to help them understand, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So, a lot of good things can come out of that. Hopefully, we can just help people to kind of start to give more money for research or even to be nicer, right? To people who have epilepsy and different things like that,
Mm-hmm.
and not to bully and all of those things. So I want to ask you, let's start with the school experience, right? When you were in school. And so for those of you who don't know, I needed to start to homeschool her just because of the experience that she was having in school. We did it for a couple of years, and I kept waiting and saying, and even while I was at work, I could feel, I don't know if that has ever happened to any of you parents or caregivers, when you can feel that the child, something's not right, is basically what I used to feel. And so shortly after that, the school would usually call me if it was the summertime, because our summers oftentimes were not so great because the heat was a trigger for her. And so she would, try to go on trips with the school, but then oftentimes she would have a seizure, and the school would be calling me, or she would just not feel well, and the school would call, and I just have to go ahead and run across town, right? You remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so what I want the audience to understand is how it felt for you. And her situation may not be like everyone else's, but we do want to share what she experienced. So when you were in school, tell us what would happen. Let's start from, so the teacher's up there teaching on the board, the whiteboard.
Yeah.
Right? And then you would be paying attention, and then what would happen when you had a seizure?
And then you mean after
Or during. So she's teaching, and then
when I'm having a seizure.
Yeah, start from what you felt like before you even had the seizure. So did you have was there a warning? Was there something?
there was a tiny warning, and the warning was like, I could feel myself like about to stare off, but I couldn't really feel when I was always gonna stare off.
Oh, so sometimes you knew like you were about to stare off. So we're talking about absence seizures right now, right? So which is a lot like, it reminds people of someone who's daydreaming, but the difference is if they're daydreaming, we could say, hey, and they would come out of it, right? But not with a seizure.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't hear. So, okay, so you would feel like you were about to start staring off, and then what happened?
And then I had the seizure, and then when I was having the seizure, it was just like I was in a hallway, and lights were flickering in the hallway.
Okay.
It looked like the school hallway, but it didn't look very familiar. And then all I saw was darkness following after me. And when I was running, it was going faster after me. And I can hear the footsteps of the darkness coming after me.
So all of this, and y'all please pardon us, we have some outside sounds. People are home, so I guess they're mowing their lawn, or I don't know what that is, but pardon the sounds, the outside sounds, but this is real life. It's a real live podcast. All right, so you're sitting in the classroom, and then all of a sudden darkness comes, right? And darkness is all around you, but yet it's like darkness has footsteps.
Yeah.
And darkness is chasing you.
Yes.
Wow, that sounds like that was pretty tough to have to go through, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah? So darkness is chasing you, and you're running from it. So what happens next?
And then the hallway comes to a stop, and then all of the darkness surrounds me, and when I come out of it, all I see is the teacher calling my name, and she's in my face.
Yeah. Calling your name and in your face. And so how did that feel to have her just in front of you like that?
It felt, I didn't really like it. It felt like, it felt uncomfortable.
So how was she calling you? Was she like, oh, Diamond? Was she nice and sweet? How was she calling you?
No, she was calling me like she was annoyed.
Like she was annoyed.
Yeah.
Okay, well, of course. Now you've had this darkness kind of chasing after you, right? And all you knew is that you were in the classroom learning, and then the teacher's like right up in your face when you come out of this seizure.
Yeah.
You didn't even see her get there, right?
No.
No, you just knew she was at the whiteboard, but she's not even like, are you okay?
Yeah.
She's like, Diamond, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What did she say? Was she just like, what was she saying?
So the first thing that she said is that the first thing that she said was, are you okay? And then I still couldn't like say anything because I was still in shock for a little bit.
Wow.
And then she said, she said something like, I'm erasing the board, and she said, next time pay more attention.
So now I'm erasing the board. Pay more attention.
Next time.
Next time, pay more attention. I'm trying to get in a space where we don't hear this this thing going.
Yeah.
Come on, baby. Yeah, so right over here, honey. Hey, so that's, can you picture that, everyone? So she's in this classroom. Now, here's the other piece, because in these transitional meetings, the one thing that they are supposed to transition is the information that there is a child with a medical condition. And what happens when you're a parent who's promised it's the beginning of the school year and you're told that this information will be passed on and you believe it is, but come here, baby. But for some reason, it's not, right? And I was the kind of parent who, so this is now not in the lower grade because it's like K through 2 is lower, and then upper elementary nowadays is like 3 to 5 or something like that, right? And so the information may have, because there's a certain time that you get to have your parent teacher and you have a 504 in place. If you don't know what that is, we'll definitely talk about that another time. But that just gives your child more time, for their studies or to take a test, or, they get to take their test in a different room or what have you. And so here it is. She has this seizure in the classroom. She's just had this very difficult, I almost want to call it, almost traumatic event of running in a hallway when she knew she was sitting in the classroom, and then coming out of it after running from this darkness and being, seeing this wall, coming slowly out of this seizure, and still trying to get over the fact that this thing was chasing right after. This was her experience. But now, instead of the teacher being in the front of the classroom, which is where you last saw her, she's up in front of you. Mm-hmm. Like, hey, are you okay? What's wrong with you, right?
Yeah.
Not necessarily with the voice of sympathy or empathy. Maybe she was, I don't know, afraid or what have you. But now she's in front of you, and then I'm erasing the board. Next time you pay more attention. Can we do better? That's what I want to say. On a couple of fronts, right? So I want to say a few things here, and then we'll go to the next piece. So for parents, it's very important that we tell the school staff that our child has a medical condition, right, or a disability. And I know sometimes that's kind of hard because people can at times be cruel. And instead of them being, you want these, honey? Yeah. Instead of them being nice or understanding about it, and sometimes people can't understand what they don't understand, right? So instead of them doing that, they kind of go the opposite way because they don't understand it. And that's sometimes why parents may say, well, look, I don't want my child to be stigmatized or ostracized or judged or anything. I'm not going to tell. But we have to tell, especially when it comes to epilepsy. And we have to make sure that the emergency medicine is there. And I won't get into my experience with that, but I am going to share it with you because we don't even know what's going on with the schools right now, right? When it's going to open back up. But I know we need to have these conversations. We have to have them. So she's erasing the board. Now you've missed some of the lesson, right, babe? Mm-hmm. And so how did that make you feel, like that you missed the lesson?
Part of me was mad, and then the other part of me was sad about it.
Mm-hmm. You were mad and sad. Mm-hmm. What made you mad? What made you feel mad?
but I missed the lesson and I knew that I would have bad grades.
Yeah. Yeah. And so what made you sad?
I was sad that I was being chased by darkness and it scared me.
Yeah.
And I was sad about having epilepsy and that I was sad that the teacher was also in my face.
Yeah, that would make me sad too.
Yeah.
Right? You needed a hug. You needed like this. Mommy to come and give you a big old hug just like that. You didn't need somebody saying, pay attention and I'm going to erase the board. Well, my gosh. My gosh. She could have done a bit better than that.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So that's why we need to talk about this, because I think people need to understand. I think people need to really understand what people who have illnesses that they may not have go through. Right, babe?
Yeah.
Just like if it's a tummy ache and one child says, oh, I have a tummy ache and I don't like the way it feels, we don't want to say, oh, well, right? We want to be like, we care.
Yeah.
Right? Go ahead, talk.
Where you
I have to grab my phone. Go ahead, baby. So, what would you say to a child who went through what you went through? What would you say to them?
I would say it's okay to be different from other people because we're all unique in our own way. That's what I would say to that child.
You would say it's okay to be different. Yeah. And what would you say to the teacher?
I would say you have to be more nicer to people who are different from you, and the kids don't think the same way that you do, so you need to be more nicer to them.
Got it. Because, right, so kids don't think the same way that adults do, that grown-ups do, that teachers do.
Yeah.
Right? And so let me see how much time we have. So the next time that we come on, we're going to talk about what it felt for you to have the grand mal or the tonic-clonic, which was a different type of seizure, right? Because the absence seizure, you could sit there in class.
Okay.
You want to pull my hair? Go ahead. You can pull that. You want that curl? There you go. And so the absence seizure, baby, was different because you could sit up and have it, and not be able to respond and actually feel like you were in this encasement of darkness running and then come out of it. But the tonic-clonic was different, right?
Yeah.
The grand mal was different.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about that next time because we want to shine the light on epilepsy. Regretfully, her experience in the school setting there was a teacher who actually said something that wasn't very nice to her one day.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's not that the children are not smart. It's just that when they're missing part of the lesson, if they're not able to write it in their notes, how are they able to study it? That's like you and me, right? If we're sitting somewhere and someone's having a conversation and we miss part of it, how can we engage in that conversation the best way? We can engage and just go, but we missed it. So we can't really give back what it was that we heard. Thank you for my thing there. Is there anything else you would like to say to the audience here?
Is this the last part of the thing?
Yes.
Okay. I would just like to say thank you. I am one of the guests on... I'm a guest star on this TV show. So, thank you for having me today, Yedidah fan.
On this TV show. So I guess we are gonna do video as well. That's coming on our podcast. We're starting first with the podcast. Yes. Well, I'm happy to have you on my podcast, special guest, yes. Miss Diamond Span.
And then our next star, guest star, wait.
It's okay.
Yes, would probably be
yes,
Sandy the dog.
Sandy the dog. Does she have anything to? No, I don't think she's gonna say anything. No, I don't think so. Now, I'm sorry, everyone. I don't think she wants to be interviewed. However, I am so glad, darling, that you came on and you spoke to people, because we need people like you, children and adults, to speak up and talk about epilepsy.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. Nice to see you too. Shake my hand.
Yes, it was nice meeting you all. It was nice talking to you all, talking about epilepsy today.
Yes. Huh? Yes.
Oh, okay. And whatever time you are hearing this, whatever time you are hearing this, I just want to say have a good day, have a good night whenever you are hearing this, have a good afternoon, and have a blessed day.
Yes, have a good day, a good afternoon, or a good night. Thank you so much for tuning in to Unapologetically Purple, where we discuss epilepsy advocacy for caregivers and for everyone else. Be kind to people. Be kind to everyone, especially be kind to those people who are brave enough to go through a lot of the illnesses and what have you. Illnesses, whether it be physical or mental. Let's be kind. Let's be empathetic. Let's try to understand what they may be going through. And so we're here to shed light on this condition called epilepsy. We are praying for you, those of you who have epilepsy. And pretty soon on our next podcast, we're going to share some wonderful news with you. And be encouraged. And to those of you who have encountered different hard challenges from this, just know that you're not alone, right? You have people who are thinking about you. We're thinking about you today, and we want you to be encouraged, even in the midst of this recent pandemic and all of the things that we're going through. I pray that you will be able to find hope in the midst of the storm and be able to sing your song in the midst of the rain. This is your podcast host. This is Yedidah Span, and my special guest today is
Diamond
Span. Thank you, everyone. Until next time, don't give up and be unapologetically purple.